Put your faith in the light.
Hello guys, welcome to another one of my videos. This is Lightblade. Well guys, in this one I wanted to talk about tier set for Retribution Paladins. Yes, they've revealed the tier set for all classes and specs, but in this channel we're going to analyze our specific tier set for Reds. So, at first glance you would see it and say this is kind of a trash tier set because it takes into account Crusader Strike, Consecration, and Blade of Justice. Spells that normally aren't looked at something strong in our kit. You know, Crusader Strike basically is just a reset on your auto attack. It's really weak. Consecration actually is pretty decent in Dragonflight. It's currently our second or third best damaging spell, so buffing that is pretty good. It's the only part that I like about this. Even though I hate Consecration, I have to take the good thing about the tier set. You know, we take what we can. Consecration is the good part of this tier set because it's a decent hitting ability, I guess, even though sometimes you can't keep the mobs inside. But you can work around that, you know. And the next one is Blade of Justice. So I don't like the Blade of Justice as well because it's a thing that doesn't scale with our mastery unless you take a specific talent. And that's basically one thing that it's going against their philosophy, you know, because up here, you can see here when they announce the tier set bonuses, they say, where is it? Okay, here it is. They may have some synergies with talents down the line, but they shouldn't make you feel specific builds or capstone talents are required, which is kind of a lie for our tier set because we do need to use a lot of specific things to make this work at its optimum, you know? In this channel, normally I speak for mostly Mythic Plus related things, you know me guys. I do raid, but I do it at a less extent than Mythic Plus, so most of the things I'm going to talk here are for Mythic Plus Retribution Paladins, because that's the content I do the most. Okay, so in terms of Mythic Plus, there's a lot of things you have to take here to make this tier set actually worthwhile. So let's analyze the 2 set and the 4 set. Okay, so the 2 set. Blade of Justice and Judgment grant Crusader Strength, that's probably a buff on you, increasing the damage of your next Crusader Strike or Consecrate by 100%. So it can be 200% extra damage on Crusader Strike or Consecration. So basically this says, for me at least, it says Blade of Justice and Judgment increase your Consecrate damage by 200%. That's basically what I get from this, because you're never going to use it on Crusader Strike. Crusader Strike doesn't have any multipliers. It's physical damage, so it doesn't scale with our mastery. It only scales with like damage cooldowns and all that stuff, but it's a worthless ability to press most of the time. So you want to use this buff solely on Consecration, which makes it a pretty hard-hitting ability. Consecration, as I said before, has already a bunch of cooldown multipliers, like on top of that another 200% extra damage. It's going to make it a pretty decent hard-hitting ability. But then again, you have to take specific things, so it pigeonholes us to specific talents, especially the Consecration talents. And it also makes it's annoying. I hate Consecration, but it's the best thing we can take out of their tier set, you know. It's going to hit pretty decently hard, and that's nice sustained damage. Okay, let's go now to the 4 set, and well, okay. When you consume Crusader Strike, the damage of your next Blade of Justice is increased by 50% for each stack of Crusader Strike consumed. So this is basically 100% if you use it on 2 stacks, which are you're normally going to try to do, of extra damage on your next Blade of Justice. This has some synergy with some of our talents, but then again, it also pigeonholes us to use some of those talents specifically, you know, and it kind of offsets. Okay, now I kind of get why they nerfed Art of War. It previously was a 100% chance to reset our Blade of Justice. Now it's only 50%, which is actually, I saw the numbers, and while it sounds bad, a 50% nerf, it went down from a 24% chance to reset to only to 18%. So it's still around like 1 in 5 auto attacks is going to reset your Blade of Justice, so still pretty decent. So with this, Blade of Justice is a pretty decently hitting ability, you know, but like I said before, you have to talent to it and specifically build towards it if you're going to use those talents. So now let's go to the talent tree, so to show you guys what I'm thinking about the build is going to be with these specific tiers, you know. There may be a lot of changes further down the line. Maybe when you see this video something change, I don't know, but let's go to the talents now. Okay guys, so this is what I'm thinking about when it comes to general paladin tree. So there's not many things that you have to take mandatory here. There's only 2 things. So first one is this incandescence. So this makes it so whenever you use holy power, your consecration can flare up, dealing extra damage. So no-brainer, does more damage for consecration. It's not uncapped damage, it's limited to 5 targets, but it's still pretty powerful. The other option was Touch of Light, which doesn't actually synergize with our tier set. So it does uncap damage, but it's not that strong, you know. So incandescence is the way to go here. The other talent that's going to be set in stone is Hollowed Ground. You want to take that extra 10% damage on consecration because all multiplicative damage stacks really well, you know. Okay, so those are the 2 mandatory talents. As for other things in this build, we're going to go for the oh, let me remove this. This is the correct one. So we're going to go with the extension build, which takes into account Zealot's Paragon to get more wing uptime, and we're going to take Sanctified Wrath so we get more the explosions on our Avenging Wrath. This gives us another source of uncapped damage. We have a lot of uncapped damage. We have Sanctified Wrath, we have Consecration that's now going to be hitting really hard with all the extra damage multipliers that it has, and well, it's pretty decent. Okay, so there's another version of the build you can do, and this one takes removes Divine Purpose and uses Seal of Order instead. So I don't really like this build, but it does have some synergy with our tier set because Seal of Order, it not only increases the damage of your Holy Power spending abilities, it also reduces the cooldown of your Holy Power generating stuff. So Crusader Strike and Blade of Justice. So technically this does have some synergy with our tier set, but it really feels really wrong to play red without Divine Purpose. Like having the procs is just gives you a lot of flexibility of what to do with your next global cooldown and stuff, and I think it's a more fun playstyle, you know. So at least for me, I'm going to just keep using Divine Purpose for now there. Okay guys, now let's go to the specific Retribution Paladin things to take into account for this build. Okay guys, so for the Retribution specific things, there's a few talents that are mandatory, and like I said before, that kind of goes against what they said in the blue post, that some things won't be mandatory, but for us, it is. Anyways, on the first row, you're gonna take Art of War, Divine Storm as normal, Art of War for the, you know, the procs on Blade of Justice. After that, you take Holy Blade, it generates an additional Holy Power. You're gonna take Improved Crusader Strike. Even though I said before Crusader Strike is kind of a worthless button, it just smooths out your curve if you're missing like 1 Holy Power or something like that. And even though you're never wanting to use your proc of your tier set on a Crusader Strike, it's not the end of the world if it happens. At least now Crusader Strike deals more damage than an auto attack, you know, so pretty decent talent to take there. After that, you're just gonna take Improved Judgment. Here we're gonna take our Blade of Wrath, Art of War increase talent. It's still nerfed by 50%, which is sad. After that, we're just gonna take our choice of defensive, Imperium Power, and here we have some set in stone choices. So first one is Expurgation. Expurgation is, even though it has some anti-synergy with other talents we're taking, for example Crusade, because Crusade doesn't give critical strike and normal wings does, Expurgation does give you mastery scaling on your Blade of Justice, which is really good because if not, it doesn't scale with mastery, it just does physical damage. So this allows it to scale with our mastery, like I said before. It also gives it critical strike scaling, which is nice, I guess. After that, we are going to take Consecrated Blade because this allows us to have 2 consecrations, and 2 consecrations is better than 1. Double the fun, double the damage. Okay, next one is Wake of Ashes. So Wake of Ashes is just a no-brainer, a really good builder ability, you know. It gives you a bunch of holy power and it deals pretty amount of damage. After that, the other talent that's set in stone is Sanctified. This talent just gives another 100% multiplier damage to consecration. Let's recap a bit. How much cooldown damage multipliers does consecration have up to now? So that's 100% from this, that's another 10% from this, it's 200 from tier set, it's 310 extra damage multipliers on top of Crusade, that's another 30, that's 440 damage multipliers, and we can't account our mastery because we don't know how much mastery we will have, but you will have to just add that on top of it. So it's scaling with a bunch of stuff, so consecration is going to be a pretty hard hitting ability, so pretty decent. Okay, next off, we're going to pick Crusade, like I said before, and some of you may be asking, why are we picking Crusade? Like, doesn't like normal wings have better synergy with expurgation? That's because in this Mythic Plus build, we're going to exploit the synergy with consecration more than the Blade of Wrath, Blade of Justice synergy, you know? And Crusade scales really, really well with consecration. Haste is really good for it because it makes the ticks of consecration happen faster, and that also has synergy with the sanctification. So the faster the ticks happen, the more holy power, and the faster you get that holy power to spend, you know? So that's just really good synergy between these two talents when you're on your cooldowns. After that, we're going to take Ashes to Dust. So you guys may be asking, doesn't that have anti-synergy? Because you want to use as many Blade of Justice as possible, you know, not Ashes to Dust, Wake Up Ashes. That's because it's either this or we take just 5% extra critical strike on Blade of Justice, and then I actually can't justify taking extra damage on a single target ability and ignoring like Wake Up Ashes procs. I know it has some anti-synergy, but I think it's a good option to take, you know? Just resets of Wake Up Ashes are pretty strong in itself. It gives you extra holy power and they hit pretty hard. Okay, anyways, next one, Zeal. Zeal is the option here because the other one is Fires of Justice. I think Zeal is better, even though after the nerfs of Art of War, the proc chance is actually like, it was before 24% chance to proc an extra a Blade of Justice. Now it's only 18, but it's still around like 1 in every 5 auto attacks will give you a reset of your Blade of Justice. So I think Zeal is just the correct option to use in this build. Next up, this one is also mandatory, Consecrated Ground, or the other option here, Sanctified Ground. Both are fine. Consecrated ground, I think it's a better one because it slows targets, and slows are normally really valuable in Mythic Plus dungeons. But the big part here is the Consecration is 15% larger. You may think of this as not a throughput talent, you know, but it actually is, because the more time the mobs are in your Consecration, the more time they're taking damage. So this technically is a throughput talent for our build, and it synergizes with our tier set because we're focusing on that Consecration. After that, we're taking our choice of Healing Talent and Tempest of the Lightbringer. So this gives us more uncapped AoE. Actually, Retribution Paladin is looking really, really strong on the uncapped AoE department. We have Tempest of the Lightbringer, we have Consecration that is uncapped AoE damage, we have Light's Decree Explosions, which are also uncapped AoE. So we have a bunch of sources of it. We even have Final Reckoning, which is like a big chunk of burst of uncapped AoE damage. So a lot of that is happening in our kit. Next on the row, we're just gonna take Relentless Inquisitor here. This is just really good synergy. Like I said before, Haste synergizes really well with Consecration. More ticks, more holy power, more damage. After that, we're going to take Ashes to Ashes, even though it's nerfed because of the Art of War. The uptime on this ability went from 45 to 25%, so it's still decent. 25% uptime on Seraphim is okay because it gives you a bunch of stats, and stats are really strong for Retribution Paladin. Gives you 13% mastery, 8% versatility, that's 21% extra damage off the bat. It also gives you 8% critical strike, and it gives you 8% haste, which is extremely strong. It synergizes, both of those stats synergizes with our tier set, crit with the Blade of Justice Expurgation, and haste and crit with Consecration, because it can hit, it can crit, it can also haste is really nice, like I said before. So we're taking Ashes to Ashes, even though after the nerfs. Then we're going to go with Divine Toll. Divine Toll is just a no-brainer here. We're using the extension build, so just pressing the Divine Toll button with its Divine Resonance will give you free 8 seconds of extension on your wings, which is really, really strong. After that, we're going to take Imperial Legacy, because this allows us to use a Divine Storm even in single targets, and that's really good because it has synergy with Sanctify. So in single target, you can use a Divine Storm and you will get the extra damage for your Consecration, which is okay. Okay, next one. So Virtuous Command and Final Reckoning. Even though neither of these have any synergy with Consecration, you might see some of synergy here in the passive, because that makes it so the target takes extra holy damage. But the active part of Final Reckoning doesn't apply to Consecration. It's just a really good option to take here, because the other two are not very good in Mythic Plus dungeons. So Final Verdict and Vanguard's Momentum are not very good because they are single target options, They don't work that well in AoE, and in Mythic Plus you want to get a bunch of AoE damaging abilities. That's the most important thing, dealing with trash. And the other option here was Execution Sentence Way, and I don't think this also has good synergy with our tier set, since we're throwing a bunch of consecrations, you know. Execution Sentence relies on you throwing a bunch of spenders to make the damage of the Execution Sentence like bigger, you know. You don't want to throw random consecrations in there, so I think it has some anti-synergy with these other talents. So this is what I came up with. So guys, in conclusion, is our tier set bad or good? I would say in a scale of 1 to 10, it's a 6. So it's not super good, but it's okay-ish, you know. It does have a lot of problems. Like I said, it has some anti-synergy with our talents, like you saw there. For example, the one with Ashes to Dust, you don't want to get the Wake Up Ashes proc. Sometimes you want to get the Blade of Justice to use the 2 stacks, you know, to make it do more damage. But then again, Wake Up Ashes is just really good. It does a ton of damage. So it has some anti-synergy in that ways. We have to take some talents to make it work, and the only good part of the tier set is the Consecration part, even though I hate that spell. I hate it that Blizz is just trying to make Consecration work so hard, you know, but at least it makes it do decent amount of damage. It has a 310% damage multiplier in total now with our tier set, so it's going to be hitting hard. I hate the fact that we have to like make the mob stay in the Consecration though. But anyways, guys, tell me down in the comments, what do you think about the tier set, you know? And well, if you like my content, subscribe to the channel and leave a like in the video. Thanks for watching, guys.